So we're here at Eurobike and we're going to be having a look at some of the weird and wacky bikes that you're going to be seeing in 2014. Or maybe not.
So, as Rob shakily rides off on his bike that has no hubs or spokes for some reason, we can take a look at the bumper crop of the weirdest and wackiest innovations from Eurobike 2013. Starting at number 5 in our countdown, it's the only complete bike on the list. Have you ever wondered why no one's ever made an e-road bike? Nope, neither have we. Why would you? But that hasn't stopped Highbike. So why have they done it?
We were the first ones, started with a mountain bike with an engine, and now everyone is copying. Why? Because everyone is successful with this kind of bicycle, MTB with engine. So we start something new, and we will try to close or to get every ground covered, you know. We have this big vision, and now we have a bike, a super race on road. So we do have a bike for everyone in every ground, in every street.
And who's it aimed at?
The wife wanna do some sport trips with the man.
So there you have it. If you're a wife who wants to do a sport with a man, and you have a spare €6,000 kicking around, this may just be the bike for you. Number 4 now, and this may call for the suspension of disbelief. For years we've been riding around with the suspension attached to the wheel. But what if we could put the suspension in the wheel?
Well, it's actually an in-wheel the suspension mechanism that allows you to incorporate the suspension into a non-suspended frame. You could just retrofit every frame of a bicycle into a full suspension bicycle. We started off as a company that provides the suspension solutions for wheelchairs, for handicapped people. And that is brought off the idea that there is a need for suspension that is retrofittable and for suspension that is selective. And I think there is a great interest, mainly because of the look maybe, and because of the innovation that you can actually take every bicycle and make it into a suspended bicycle.
Another suspension innovation at number 3, and one for which the inspiration came from an unexpected source.
I used to work as a prosthetic engineer. I was designing prosthetic feet. I did that, like it was my daytime job. Then I went home and rode my bike, did some mountain biking races, cross-country races, marathon races. And like, I mean, working with all those flexing fibers in the prosthetic industry and then racing my bike got me thinking, can't I use this somehow to make like a super lightweight suspension system for bikes? I started doing some sketches and thinking about how to tackle the lateral forces in the thing and ended up with this design. The main fork here in the front and the rear pieces, they are carbon fiber, but the springs are glass fiber for more flexibility, because I mean glass fiber can flex like 2 or 3 times more than carbon fiber. This fork weighs 990 grams, gives you 60 millimeters of suspension. So it's like the average of a rigid fork and a suspension fork. It is more sensitive to small bumps. I mean, if you're like riding a gravel single track and with all those like vibrations, it's really sensitive to that because there is no like static friction as you see in these stanchions on a regular suspension fork. And then obviously, I mean, there's zero maintenance. There are no moving parts in it, so you just ride it.
Cyclists are always looking for the next innovation to give them the competitive edge. And for number 2 in our countdown, they're really using their head. Rather than just being something to stop you spilling your brains all over the tarmac, the new BBB concept helmet may give you a competitive advantage too.
So there are a lot of sprinting helmets coming on the market right now. What we always try to do at BBB is to create the best functional helmet. So aerodynamics is one, but before you get to the sprint, you also have a lot of cooling down what you need, because you're producing a lot of heat, and most of the heat comes off of your head. And that's why we are trying to find an optimum between thermodynamics and aerodynamics. For the thermodynamics, we use a body with a head, put in liquid, heat it up, and then measure the cooling down while there's wind in. So when it's cooling a lot, then it's also really good airflow for cooling your head down while riding.
I'm fairly sure he just said something about putting the helmet onto a body and warming it up. Probably best not to dwell though. So on to number 1 in the weird and wonderful, and it goes to a company from Oakland, California. Ever wondered how to be seen on your bike at night and be cool?
So we started as an art project. Dan Goldwater, the head engineer behind this crazy little company, was working on innovative LED displays about 7 years ago in a friendly competition with some other engineers, and came up with prototypes of what essentially became the Monkey Light Pro. Riding around the streets of Oakland, California, people kept on yelling out and being like, "Where did you get that? That's amazing, dude." One thing led to the other, and we developed the M133 Monkey Light, which was our first light that we developed. In 2011, we went to Kickstarter to fund our second generation of lights, and we funded the M210 light. Our newest model, the Monkey Light Pro, the user is able to put whatever he wants to on that. That light has 256 LEDs, 128 on each side. It also has wireless control, so the user is able to change the images on it using their cell phone. That light's going to be launched in March of 2014. Kickstarter backers should get it in December of 2013.
So that concludes our look at some of the weird, wonderful and wacky products available here at Eurobike 2013. Some of them we're pretty sure you will be seeing next year, others we're not so sure about. But do let us know which ones you would like to see by commenting below.